Hi guys, welcome to Black YouTube, a place where accountability is absent, blame is ever present, personal responsibility is a foreign concept, you'll never get balanced commentary, subscribers must follow the lead of the content creator or face being banned. Let us try to figure out what the main message is of Black YouTube. It is broke men telling fat women to lose weight and fat women telling broke men to level up. I promise you that I'll try my best to have balanced commentary. You may not always agree with me. I am open to intellectual debate. Thank you guys.
This is how I also further know the Black community is dealing way too much in emotion and not reasoning. I told y'all I was divesting from Black men. Gave y'all statistics over multiple videos. Multiple different Black women from all different parts of life have all congregated in all those comment sections to concur and add their 2 cents in and their experience. I am too educated. I listen to Black women. I have a reasoning brain that I can separate my emotions from. This is why I divest. Black men as a whole are failing. And rather than hold them accountable and force them to succeed at anything other than running their fucking mouth, y'all coddle and condone their failure. Make it make sense. You want unity, but they're not unified. Get them unified.
I've been meaning to do this series, and this is something that I'm been very passionate about. Something I've always thought about, for probably the last 20 years. And to give you the preface, one of the things people have tried and failed many times. How can you change a street dude into a provider? Big question. This doesn't seem we won't seek to answer that question in this part of the series. This is the first part of several series that I plan to do. So what I wanted to do first was set the plate. Because you have to understand what makes the street dude a street dude. And that's key. And if you understand where he's coming from, what he's going through, then you can understand if a solution is available for him to move. Now let's say that a lot of people don't know that it is possible. I've not seen it happen many times in my lives, but I have seen ambitious dudes who were born in the street, but they were never street dudes. They were never ever a part of the street. They were just ambitious dudes who decided, hey, this is not where I belong. Those guys kept to themselves and they left those hoods and areas. I'm not talking about those guys. I'm talking about guys who delved into the street. They were one with the street. They got involved in gang life. They got involved in, they were adjacent to a lot of thugs. That's the difficult part for people to leave that lifestyle. So please understand, I'm not talking about the guys born in the hood who left the hood. That's completely possible. I'm talking those who got enthralled in the hood stuff and then left it and became providers, became those positive folks. Those are the folks that I am very interested in. So let's look at the hood, because a lot of people, who live in the hood, who have never left the hood before, and let me do that qualifier again. I know tons and tons of people have left the hood and have moved into suburbs. Some are now upper class and they're living fantastic lives. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people who have never left the square mile that they have been born into. They've lived there for their entire life. I'm talking about those folks. Those folks, one of the big things that you'll find is that they are people that definitely are completely impacted by what the goings on in the hood. And a lot of them don't understand that their hood is not much different than any other hood. Now, I'm in Canada. You have hoods in Winnipeg, Calgary, Toronto. You have hoods in Edmonton. And what's important is to understand what a hood is. And let's go on. Let's look at it. We're talking about Brixton in London. We're talking about lots of places in Baltimore, St. Louis, Miami, Martin Luther King Boulevard down there, Liberty City. You're talking about a whole lot of places. But what defines these hoods? Because if we understand what defines these hoods, we may be able to understand why the problem happens there and what can be done to improve that problem. Now, one of the big things we'll see with these hoods is generally they tend to have a bit of a structure. And one of the structures is the difference between a hood and not being a hood is normally a few factors. Big one is the culture. And the culture normally is no snitching. Once you start to say no snitching, then you have now moved into a hood. If that's the culture, the gangs are having their activities, their illegal activities, and there's a no snitch culture. That is a big component of a hood. Because in that now, that means that the justice and settlement of disputes are done outside of the regular justice system. And people don't understand that in successful societies, you needed a way to settle disputes and also create deterrence for bad behavior. That's what the court system, that's what the police force is for. The hood rejects that. The hood says, hey, the deterrence for bad people, and this is where it's illogical. What is the deterrence for bad people in the hood outside of the police force and the justice system? There's none. It's the strongest person or the most armed person or the most vicious person who goes to the top of the hierarchy. It's a horrible system. So therefore, anyone who wants to do anything productive has to leave the hood. So you end up with food deserts. You end up with a situation where, my time, passing through Liberty City was gun shop, pawn shop, liquor store. Like, think about that. Gun shop, pawn shop, liquor store. No KFC, no Burger King, nothing down there. No Walmart, no, I remember the story of when they had those, I think it was Freddie Gray, and you had those riots in Baltimore. And there's like this one, pharmacy that was there, and they were looting it because they were protesting the treatment of Freddie Gray, when he was in custody in that vehicle. And the thing was that they were looting this place, and people were worried that pharmacy, which was kind of like a pharmacy / superstore, was going to leave the area because all the other stores had left the area. And there were people in there totally just looting it and trashing the place. And it tells you something, that within the hood, I like the term desert. It does, like, prosperity, positive things like thriving, social mobility, all that, it doesn't happen there because the hood is a desert. The hood is a desert of hope. The hood is a desert of opportunity, but it has an abundance of violence. It has abundance of disrespect. And one of the issues that I've always had with the hood was people who live there, and I know, and that's why I don't pour bash. You are there because you're poor and you can't do better. Let me bring out the Jamaican side of me. I remember being in Jamaica in the 90s, and I first heard this statement. I can only attribute it to the man. His name, he was a popular radio announcer in Jamaica, Wilmot Perkins. He called him Mutty Perkins. And he made a statement which stuck with me for years. He says, the only acceptable reason for a man to be in a pigsty is that he's there to clean it. And I want to reiterate that. Remember, the only justifiable reason for a man to be in a pigsty is that he is in there to clean it. And that stuck with me for a reason. And that was, when I left Jamaica years ago, one of the important things was, and I'm not calling Jamaica a pigsty, but what I'm saying is there's a lot of problems in Jamaica, lots of problems in the ghetto, that there's a lot of problem with crime. And sometimes you feel that helplessness that you cannot change that place. There is more opportunity outside. So you leave there for somewhere where there is more opportunity, there is more room for growth. And in a sense, the hood is similar, because if someone decides to stay there, how would they thrive? I mean, you basically decided to put your life to the point of being just a survivor. Being a survivor does not allow you growth. And to for growth and to thrive, you need to move out the hood. Now, I know there are some communities which are hood adjacent, but what's important is that area that has a no snitch zone, run by gangs, all of that, that is a hood. And that's something that those guys, those women, I feel sorry for you guys, because like I don't know how you thrive in that environment. And sometimes it's hard for someone to be red pill to understand that you are just surviving. And it's, I always wonder about the mentality of gang members. You are running or controlling a street. This happened in Jamaica. In Jamaica, it was weird. Someone would control the top of the road and someone would control the bottom of the road. Think about that. The top of the road, there's a gang that controls it, and the bottom of the road. And sometimes in the middle, there's another gang that controls it. There's a story in Jamaica, in this community, that people could not go to downtown, which was about a mile away, because they had to pass by their rival gangs. So they went miles away to buy their food and buy different things, and they couldn't go to the downtown area because of the fact that of these gangs. It's quite silly when you think about it. And as we dive deeper into hood, what we'll get into is that crab in the barrel mentality. One in which people who are suddenly now thriving will have to hide that success in these areas, because there's this inertia, there's this gravitational pull to pull everyone back down. And so people have to leave to grow. And that's a key thing about the hood. And the hood is so disorganized because it's similar to Jamaica, man. You will have, as I said, 3 gangs on one street. Like 3 gangs on one street. And even within the gang, they're killing each other. And so, I remember years ago hearing about the Crips in Los Angeles. And they would have, I'd hear of, and I'm no expert on it, different street had different Crips. And I said to myself, and they were fighting among each other. How nonsensical is this? Like, how illogical, how stupid is all of this? And what we have is that those guys are expected to be providers. Think about it. They're living in an literal asylum. It's crazy. It's crazy where you have a police force, you have a justice system that can help to settle disputes and that can deter bad behavior, deter encroachment on your rights. You have rejected that for may the strongest man, the most armed man, the most vicious man be your leader. It's so nonsensical. So therefore, law-abiding people who want peace, people who want to thrive, people who want just a positive environment for the children have to leave. And you get a situation like Detroit where, I heard houses were selling for $1,200. Like, think about it. That's how bad that cancer of a hood can do once it spreads. You think about Detroit. There is this picture online, and I want to probably share it, of Hiroshima, the city that was bombed, or even Nagasaki, the cities that were bombed in 1945. They have pictures of Hiroshima and Nagasaki after they were bombed, and comparable pictures of Detroit. And then guess what? They took those pictures back 70 years later, and guess which one looks like it has been hit by a bomb? Guess which one looks like you'll never know that a bomb ever hit it? And that's because when a mentality, a lifestyle can destroy an era, literally completely destroy an era. And it's something that we need to look at, and I'll get more in depth in it, that we cannot continue to live in this hood culture and hood mentality where we tear each other down, where we have lack of self-control. Listen, this is something that needs to be addressed. And if we can go to the root of the problem, maybe we can start to look at how a street dude could possibly become a provider. I mean, this is not easy stuff, and that's why this will take several different parts of a series, episodes in a series, to get there, to unpack all of this. This is very important stuff. And so my hope is that we can together unpack, and get in the comment section if you have ideas or that. And guys, hit the like button. I want us to go through that journey of understanding the making of the Pookie, and let's do it slowly and step by step, because it's important. And let's my goal is not to start at slavery, because I think that's the one thing that I don't want us to ever start at. We have to start at the point where we look at ourselves in comparison to what's going on outside of us. We have to look at the fact that, go back to African and Caribbean immigrants, they earn far more than Native Americans. Why? And those are questions that need to be answered, and not answered in a negative way and all of that stuff. Look at what's happening. And as I said, those guys are red pilled in the sense that they are here looking for opportunity. They're not looking to be victims. They're here looking for opportunity. And it's very hard to hear. But this is the important part in breaking those chains. Because listen, victimhood, poverty, lack of opportunity, violence, that goes all hand in hand. And until you break that chain, then you're still that guy who is in a pigsty. And remember what Monty Perkins says: there's no appropriate reason for any man or woman to be in a pigsty unless they're there to clean it up. And that's something that's important. We need to focus on that. If you're in that type of negative area, I wish you well, and I hope that you find your way out. Because if you can change it, you can change it. I mean, gentrification is how hoods are changed, but that's normally investments from developers and, rents going up and the hood changing over time. But a single person changing the hood, that's very difficult. So I wish a lot of you guys, get out of there. If you're in a negative area, get out there. And wherever you go, do not take that hood mentality, because you're helping to destroy that area with that hood mentality. And we'll get in next episodes on hood mentality, because I think hood mentality, which is a very crab in the barrel, lack of self-control, not able to defer gratification, false hubris, wherever you can go from, being prideful in one way, and within 60 seconds you start to be a victim. That's hood mentality, something to break away from. So I'm going to close off this episode, but we will get more in depth in further episodes. And as I said, please hit the subscribe button. Thanks, guys.